Okay, we're back in Photoshop after a really quick reshoot. Here's where we were, and I thought these perfectly side by side makes the image a little too flat. There's not much character to it. So I went back to the studio and moved the camera to the side a little bit. And actually, I pushed the pot back and brought the rice bag forward a little bit. And I thought they were still too on even plane. And also, this little handle, I didn't like seeing that because from a distance it's hard to tell what it is. And so when you can't tell what something is, you spend more time on it and it gets confusing. So it doesn't make a good picture. Also, picking up a little bit of, actually that's my sweater right there. So I was going to bring the camera up a little bit to get rid of that reflection. So the only reflections were from this clean surface in front. So I brought it up and got rid of the reflection. And now that reflection is the rice and it reads as the side of the rice bag. So that's fine. And what did I do? I went and I was thinking about this area here, this fold, this kink in the bag. And I decided to try and kind of massage these edges, bend this back to see if I can make it look a little more natural. And I think I did. Let's see, before and after. Well, I got this right, but I moved the shadow from here to here. It's acceptable. All right. So as always, I'll take a couple versions. I threw the rice in there just to be sure. And looks like I missed a piece, so we're going to have to nuke that. So let's work on this one. Since it has the most problems, we got to get rid of this. And I'm going to straighten this edge out a little bit as well. But let's zoom in and see. Might want to get rid of some of those. Oh, and there's the reflection of that rice too. So I got to get rid of this guy, and there's a reflection. I'm looking around closely to see if there are other things I need to remove. Not a lot. Okay. So editing, post-production, first thing I'm going to do is grab the background, drag it down to make a copy. I got to work on the background copy, not the original. And to get rid of things like this, since it's not touching anything else, I can use this guy. It looks like a little band-aid, but the healing brush tool. Spot healing brush might work. Let's see. Make it smaller, paint over it. Yep, gone. Command Z. If that didn't work, let's pretend it didn't work. The regular healing brush, not the spot healing brush. I'll try and paint over it, and I get this instruction that I need to define a source point. Say OK. What that means is if I want to copy this clean area onto this, I have to tell the computer this is the area I want. So I have to hit Option and left click, and now it knows to sample from there. And then when I paint over this grain of rice by holding down the mouse right click button, left click, it's gone. Did it say right click over here? It's left click. It's the main button, your index finger. I can do the same thing here. I make this smaller and say I want to get rid of that, and I like it to copy this area. So I Option, click that area, and then go and gently paint over. And what it's doing is it's sampling that area over here, but it's trying to blend it in with what already exists. And you see why we do this on the background layer. If things get kind of crazy, like if I was getting rid of this, and I Option click here and paint, it goes away, and if I keep going, oops, if I make a mistake like that, I can always go back to the background, make a new copy, or I can Command Z and step backwards. So I'm going to Option click here and paint here. Just going around, Option click here and paint here. Option click in a clean spot and paint away what I don't want. Option click in a clean spot, paint away what I don't want. And this is why it actually saves me time to be meticulous. And if I had cleaned this pot, I would not be doing all of this spot retouching. This isn't taking me long, but imagine if I had a whole series of these. I would have to do this 2-minute exercise, with every single one of them. So time adds up. So spending 10 minutes cleaning can save you a lot of time in post. You can see all our schmutz reappear when I turn the layer off. Actually, I want to get rid of this guy. That one's bothering me. Okay, this tool is really made for this environment where I have a clean gray or colored sweep. I don't have a lot of complexity going on. If I have a lot of complexity going on, things just get kind of blurred and mushy. There are other things we have to do to address that. Okay, so next I want to do is, I don't want to straighten this edge perfectly, but I want to manicure it a little bit so that the irregularities still exist, but they're kind of tempered. So what I'll do is, in case this does not work first try, I will take this background copy and copy it. And I'm going to rename this Liquify, because that's the tool I'm going to use. Okay, so I made a copy of the background copy, a copy of a copy. It's here. I renamed it Liquify. It's highlighted, so it's active. I go up to the top, hit Filter, Liquify, and look on this tool panel. See, it looks like a little finger nudging things. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to select that, zoom in. I may have to take the hand tool and zoom in more until I get to where I want. Back up a little bit. Okay, I don't want to make that straight, but I just want to mellow it out a little bit. Same with this, I just want to mellow that out. So go back to this little nudge tool, make this big, and I'm not grabbing it right in the middle. Actually, here, let me show you what it does. If I left click with my index finger and move to the left, see how it pulls that edge? If you can't see anything happening, check down here to the right, make sure preview is clicked. If it needs to be turned on to see what you're doing. I make the tool really big and I just use the outer edge of it. I'm changing the size of it to match the job that I'm doing. If I made it too big, I would start warping the text. I make it small and pull that edge up, push it down a little bit. If I turn the preview off, see where I was before, turn it on, see where we are now. Off, on. Shortcut for that is just the key P, with the letter P. So I can toggle this on and off just by hitting P. Okay. Again, I'm not trying to make this perfectly straight. I'm just trying to make sure that any imperfections are not distracting. And this is a slow process, but if you work slow and in small steps, it's going to look natural. If you try and do it all at once, things are going to look kind of funny. Command Z works to step back in this world as well. Not a huge difference, but one that is recognizable when we do that. Again, it looks natural, but this looks a little more worn. Actually, I want to bring this edge out a little bit more. Okay, so yeah, it still looks natural, but not as worn out. Actually like where this is. This is more than enough for, say, an e-commerce site, whether it's Amazon or the manufacturer's website. Um, if it were for print, for a larger ad, well, first of all, for a larger ad print, there'd be more styling involved. There would be a lot more complicated, not complicated, but a lot more involved in this and a lot more sophisticated than this. But for basic photography, for e-commerce, in a cheap studio environment, we used our cell phone. We used a $16.50 shop light with a probably $2 bulb. Used about $10 to $15 of white diffusion and $4 worth of clamps. And what's this paper cost? This paper is like 60 bucks a roll, but that's because I have a really big wide roll. You can get it as cheap as 20 bucks, and if you keep it clean, it'll last you a long time. Last thing I want to do is I want to crop this. So I picked the crop tool, 2:3 ratio, which is just what 35 millimeter film is. If you know a different ratio, like if this was for web and they needed a square, you can choose square. Okay, there's actually I'm gonna run with square with this one, just because it'd be like almost like an Instagram post or something. Okay, and that's it. I will save this. Let's see. File, save as, since I want to preserve my layers, save as a PSD. I'm going to rename this copper. That's, well, actually rice, isn't it? Rice is a star. Final. Okay. Hit OK. Now PSD is just, that's just for me to archive it. It will not post on Web Campus, so hit Layer, Flatten Image, and then File, Save As. We'll leave it the same name because I renamed it. JPEG, save. And quality 8 is just fine. And now I'm going to go post this for everyone to see on Web Campus.